to my channel. If you see some fuzzy ears in the side corner, that's because my tripod is in my windowsill and my cat likes to sit there. So that's what's happening. If you see that, that's what's going on. Today on my channel, I'm going to be talking about how I passed my real estate license. Things I did and things that I think helped me aid in the process of passing this exam. If any of you have taken the real estate exam in any state, I'm in Oregon, so I took the test in Oregon, obviously, and it wasn't easy at all. I've always been a very studious person. I've always, not struggled with school things. Like, for example, in college, I had no problem getting A's in classes. High school, no problem with getting A's in classes. When I did my yoga teacher training, I got over 100% on the test. And this test was a different story, okay? But before I get into the video, I just want to say that everybody learns at different paces, and that's totally fine. We all have different learning styles, and sometimes the schooling systems we have to go through aren't, good for our learning styles, and that's totally fine. We're all different, and that's okay. For me, I took my real estate class in person at Norman Webb Real Estate School in Salem, Oregon, because I learned better in person, whereas a lot of people do their real estate classes online. I'm not that type of person, so I did the in-person classes. Later in the video, I will get to the juicy details on whether or not I passed the first time and how that went. There's some quick questions that I've been getting on Instagram. Where did I go to school? Like I said before, Norman Webb Real Estate School, Salem, Oregon. Did I like it? Yes, I loved going to that class. Mark Webb, the guy who runs that class, amazing. He's amazing. If I could give him 5 stars, I'd give him 5 stars. Maybe there's a place online where I can do that. I don't know. I'm not a review leaving type person, but I'll go do that if I can. He's amazing. I can leave his contact information down below because I've had a lot of people from Oregon messaging me wanting to get into real estate and not knowing where to start. And if I were you, I would do it in person at Norman Webb Realty School. Well, people ask me how long school is for, how time consuming is it hard, is it easy? So one, it is difficult if you're not already a lawyer because it's a lot of law. So we think when we go into real estate school, some of us think that, maybe it's just about, showing houses and getting the thing done. But no, it's literally just law. It's a little more exciting than watching paint dry, but it's not the most exciting thing to learn. But we have to do it. So it was from September 2nd through December 15th, I want to say. So however many weeks that is, calculate it in your head. I went to class 1 day a week, every Wednesday from 6 to 10 p.m. So it was literally only 4 hours a week, once a week, from September 2nd through December 14th. That, to me, isn't very difficult. Of course, you have to study a lot on top of that. But for me, I worked full-time and went to school and had no issue with it. But another thing I'd like to add is I don't have any kids or anything like that, which does make my life a little bit easier when it comes to scholarly things. So if that's something that you can do, then in Salem, like I said, 4 hours a week, 1 night a week, boom, you'll get your hours. People ask me, is the exam hard? And like I said before, I thought it was very hard. I actually had to take it twice. And like I said before, I'm a really, studious person, and I study a lot. I'm not a person to take my studying lightly whatsoever. I'm pretty intense about it, like listening to, prep agent on the way to work and on the way home and anywhere I go, book study, everything. I did it all. And I still had a struggle my first time taking the test. And something that you do when you're in real estate school is you have to take, well, at least from my state perspective, you have to take 7 pre-qualifying exams before you can take the actual real thing at whatever testing center they send you to. So overall, it's 8 tests, and I didn't know that. But yeah, overall, it's 8 tests. 7 of them just pre-qualifying, 1 final. when I went in to take my pre-qualifying exams, I was a little bit nervous. I was like, okay, I hope all this studying paid off, just trust the process. I'm gonna do this thing. And I had 5.5 hours to take all 7 pre-qualifying exams when I went into school that day. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can take all 7 in like 5 hours, that's kind of a lot. Well, I breezed through them pretty easily, and it only took me 3.5 hours. And when I went to turn in all my pre-qualifying exams, I looked at the clock and I was like, wait, it's only been like 3 hours? Like, I thought this was gonna take 5 or more hours. But anyways, short story long, 7 qualifying exams that you have to take in the beginning are a little easier than the actual exam. So something that happened to me was I was really overly confident that I was gonna pass the first time on the actual exam because of the pre-qualifying tests were so easy for me. Well, I think that the pre-qualifying tests are just more of a refresher, because what you actually get on the actual exam is much harder and much more complicated, and they make it that way on purpose to separate the people who aren't really serious about real estate. I truly believe that that's what the final test is for, is to weed out people who aren't really serious about this industry and bring in the people who are, because it takes a lot of dedication to pass this thing. I took those 7 pre-qualifying exams. I had all the confidence in the world because I passed them all the first time. It was super easy. I took them in less time than I thought I was gonna need, and I go cruising into the testing center, which was PSI here in Independence. I'm still walking there. Went into PSI in Independence, took my test. I sat down super confident, that I was gonna pass this thing the first time with a breeze like all the pre-qualifiers. Well, wrong! Actually failed the first time by 4 questions. Okay? 4 questions on the state side. I think 5 questions on the national. Okay? So I got really close, and I felt like ripping my hair out in that moment because I was totally sure of myself, like 100% confident I was passing the first time because the pre-qualifiers were so easy. Well, the test is much harder, or this test is created to be difficult. Like, the way that the questions are asked are very confusing, and there will be questions, for example, don't quote me on the actual question of this, but there will be questions like, which of the below are the most correct answer? And it'll give you 4 correct answers, but you just have to pick the one of the most correctness. Do you see how wicked that is? So if you're an overthinker, just take a chill pill before your test and try not to overthink and go with your first gut intuition, because sometimes they'd be asking you questions like that, and it can be very frustrating. But anyways, after I failed the first time by a hair, I went directly to my school. I literally failed my test, drove to school, and I was like, hey, I just failed by a few points. Here are some things, and I went to Mark Webb, my teacher, with this, and I was like, here are some things that I was confused on the test. And I went directly to my school right after failing because the questions were still fresh in my brain. And I said, look, these are the questions that I think that I missed. There was something on amortization charts and a few others. And I mentioned them to him, got some help, rescheduled my test that day, and a few days later took it and passed with flying colors. So my advice to you is, and listen very carefully, take your test as soon as possible after school. Don't wait around a whole month, because as the clock ticks, stuff is falling out of your brain. So take it as soon as possible. And if you fail, reschedule as soon as possible and go get help with the questions that you think you missed on your test. Better yet, if you do fail, hopefully you don't, but if you do, go directly to your car and write down the stuff that you think that you had a problem with, so that when you do go to your school, you can tell your teacher and hopefully brush up any last things holding you back from your dream. That's how all the testing went for me. again, everybody's different. That's how it went for me. And some people pass the first time and say it's easy. Some people take 7+ times and say it's the hardest thing they've done in their life. And both of those things are okay. I'm just speaking from my experience. Now, let me tell you about a little bit of things that I did to study for this test. I studied a lot about real estate before I even begun school. So if you're already in school and listening to this, don't stress, you're still gonna be okay. But what I did was I started studying actually a long time before I even got into real estate school, probably about a year before I started listening to things on YouTube, getting the lingo down my brain, because it is like, they say it's like learning Greek, because there's so much new vocabulary and stuff like that, that there's just a lot to learn. So anyways, I listened to a lot of Prep Agent, and Prep Agent is another YouTube channel that you can find here on YouTube, and he talks a lot about vocabulary. And what I used him for the most was vocabulary, because if you learn the vocabulary, your chances of passing the test are way better, because it's like, well, you can kind of plug those things in and use context clues even if you don't know the question or the answer. At least you know the vocabulary. So number one, learn your vocabulary. I use Prep Agent. Another fellow real estate agent that actually works in my company that I work for as well at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services is Mariah Beatrice Crawford and Spencer Crawford. They have an amazing YouTube channel that I will also link down below that is so informational, just as far as the real life aspect of real estate. So a lot of what we learn in school, like they say, is not stuff that we use in the field. But the thing is, I believe that you do use a lot of it in the field. But it's good to learn the realistic aspect of real estate while you're in school, so you can actually piece things together. Be like, okay, that verbiage that I learned the other day, Mariah is talking about in this video. So it just helps your brain wrap everything together, and she has an amazing YouTube channel. I watched a lot of it. So I would also suggest that if you live in Oregon, or if you don't live in Oregon, watch her channel. Another thing that I did that I think helped pass my test, other than sitting down with pen and paper and reading things and book studying, was starting my new broker training while I was in school. So a lot of new brokers, they complete school and then they start their new broker training, which is fine. That's their process. But my process and my thinking was, well, I should, start my new broker training while I'm in school, so that when I'm done with school, I'll be done with the new broker training and then I can get my license and just start working, instead of the contrary, getting your license and then having to go through the training. And then I feel like that's a slower process. So what I did was I actually, my cat is messing with my curtain right now. So I just got the training done and over with while I was in school. And I found that to be very helpful because, like I said about Mariah's videos, hearing the real life examples while you're in school is very helpful. Also, when you're in your new broker training and you're going through listing agreements and everything, the actual bread and butter of what you'd actually do every day as a real estate agent while you're in school is really helpful, because I think it helps connect the brain connections, because you're learning again, like I said before, all of this information in school. But if you're taking your new broker training while you're in school, it's the real life, examples as well. So you can kind of put those together, and hearing all those real life examples kind of instills that vocabulary again in your brain, which then kind of solidifies that for when you take your test. And I don't know who's watching this, where you are from, or if your brokerage that you're wanting to go to even, provides training before, swearing in at the brokerage, because some brokerages don't give out, just free training to anyone. They want you to be licensed with them first. But my company at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate Professionals, they actually let me go to all of their trainings for free before I even started school. Or before I even got my license, while I was in school. So that was really, to me, very generous and really kind. And so I definitely took advantage of that, and I went to every class except for one tech training because I wasn't feeling very good. But yeah, so those are all of the things that I did. I went to started studying before I even got into school. I listened to Prep Agent. I listened to Mariah Beatrice and Spencer Crawford on YouTube. I did my new broker training in school before I was even licensed, which helped reiterate everything. And of course, I studied on pen and paper. And like I said, I didn't pass the first time. So if you don't pass the first time, don't feel bad. Just use that as a fire under your rat to get your things together. And if you guys have any more study tips or tricks or anything or any questions regarding passing your real estate exam, just comment down below. I reply really quickly, usually within a 24-hour period. So, like I said before, those are all of the things I think that helped me. I don't know if they'll help you. Hopefully they do. Again, this is Mackenzie Kellier. Thank you for watching my channel. And if anybody watching this has any real estate related questions or is thinking of buying or selling in the beautiful state of Oregon, just let me know. I will be putting my contact information in the next slide over. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
And this is my kitty mushroom. See those big claws? She don't want to say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, my feet. Having a good day.